It's recording. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa, and if you've been to a previous webinar, you most likely have seen me or heard my voice. And if you're new here, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. We're thrilled to have all of you here with us, and those who may be watching the recording, thank you also for your time and attention. Today, we have a wonderful session planned with Liz, who will get into the details of lifestyle accounts. Liz is a seasoned professional in the employee benefits administration arena, and Clarity is a cutting edge admin organization, and we partner with them at Benecurve on a regular basis. Clarity supports end-to-end solutions to engage the employee population from start to finish. While much of the focus these days still rests on cost containment strategies for health plans and controlling the ever increasing premiums, Clarity brings many administrative tools and products that leverage the tax efficiency environment and around benefit spend. There has been recent press about the growth in lifestyle accounts, and today Liz and Clarity will share where that momentum is, how they work, and things for you to consider in a tight labor market to keep your best and brightest at your organizations for years to come. We encourage active participation throughout the webinar, so feel free to ask questions as we go in that chat box, and we will either be addressed as we see them or reviewed in the dedicated time at the end for Q&A. So now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Liz.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today to talk about our favorite topic for the 2024 plan year, lifestyle accounts. Clarity has a special name we use for it, Simply Well, but it is a traditional lifestyle account that I'm going to speak to you about today. We have some trends and other data to share with you, but I really would love to make this more conversational. These are new for Clarity in the 2024 plan year. So just to full disclosure, I have not delivered this presentation before, so I'm learning along with you all as we continue to sell these, continue to consult with clients. Every time I speak to a client about what their goals are, we see and hear about new opportunities to utilize these accounts, leverage them. So it's a very exciting time in the benefits world in terms of being able to create something unique, create something very appealing to your employee population. And for brokers and consultants to really get in and spend time with you, through discovery, to uncover your goals, uncover opportunities for retention and recruitment, and dig in to really make these types of accounts very valuable to you as an organization because of good, solid utilization, and also valuable to the employee because you want to make them simple to use and easy to understand. So the goal today, I think, while we go through this deck, is to just give you kind of lay of the land, what's going on in the market, and then spend some time uncovering what these plans look like. What have employers been doing? How do you need to stack up to be attractive to employees as you strive to retain them or to recruit them? So please feel free to ask questions. And Alyssa, I won't be able to see the chat because of the way I have this set up. So if you could let me know when there are questions there, I'd be grateful. So let's jump in. And I'm so sorry. Did you say something?
No, I was just going to say I got you if there's questions.
Okay, perfect. Everyone can see my screen, I assume. We're good? Do we see the employee benefit market growing slide?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay,
also, their microphones are turned off, so they'll only be able to type in the chat box.
So just making sure my screen is visible in the right way. So in terms of the market is growing, is to say the least. We see from our other product suite, which include commuter benefits and COBRA, HRAs, FSAs, HSAs, etc., from just 2021 to what we anticipate in 2026, $2.5 billion in continued account growth. And then within those accounts, we're going to see a huge uptick in terms of the adoption rate of employees that understand them better, aren't afraid to jump in and use them, particularly on some of these more elective types of accounts like an FSA or an HSA. Lifestyle is very different though, because it doesn't have some of the restrictions and limitations that these other types of tax advantage accounts, in this case, this is not a tax advantage account, but these types of spending accounts, there's less restrictions within them. So the adoption rate is going to be even better, I think, obviously, than perhaps an FSA or dependent care account would be. From your perspective, the dynamics that are impacting you as an organization continue to be fairly challenging. 90% of CEOs believe that a recession is coming. I think this was a 2023 statistic. It's probably already here. And I've seen a lot of the employer groups that I work with experiencing layoffs. Did I hear a question?
Sorry, just me again. You are stuck on the first slide.
I
I don't
am.
know.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Let me make sure I'm getting through. Let me stop sharing and try and do this. Oh, how about now? Are you on the
So you,
employer dynamics?
nope, you stopped sharing, so I can
My
also share it
apologies,
on mine
folks.
too.
My laptop is giving me some glitch here. Let's see. We're going to try and share one more time, see if we get this right. It's not giving me a, there we go. How about now?
There you go.
Are you able to see the employer dynamics slide?
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry, folks. So here are some of the pressures that you all are experiencing. Obviously, the labor market is good, so there's a lot of competition for talent. You have a recession potentially affecting a lot of folks. Some people don't think we're in recession, others do. I'm not sure where I stand on it. The rising cost of healthcare is continuing to put quite a bit of pressure, and we see that even ticking up from 2023 to 2024. We see the diversity of benefits being customized to increase the loyalty that an employee has to a company that they work for. The job hopping is quite significant. So 72% of employees say that the benefits that are customized would really help improve the loyalty level to staying and working long term with a company. Additional challenges that are leading to an interest in lifestyle accounts include, as I mentioned, 68% of employed workers say they plan to leave their current job within 12 months, and 79% believe they can make more money elsewhere. So, what do you do as employers to continue to be appealing and continue to keep them interested and attached to your organization? Obviously, post COVID, I feel like it's BC and before COVID and after COVID, BC and AC these days. But over 45% of employees now expect more flexibility, obviously, in their day-to-day work. They want a better work-life balance and an increased focus in the well-being of their, themselves and their family. And so there's a huge increase in the demand for more personalized benefits. So 93% of employees say that the ability to customize their benefits is a must have, or at very least a nice to have. That's an interesting statistic, I think. And this is where a really good consultant and broker can come in to help define and bring to the table the huge array of companies that are out there with some really creative solutions. Let them do the shopping and the vetting for you and bring that together for a really nice incentive package. Focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion continues to rise. 65% of business leaders say that that is a high strategic priority. I know at Clarity, the company I've been with for 6 years, culture is at the forefront of our organization, and I hear that word culture in everything we do, whether it's in terms of how we communicate our values outside to our clients and prospects and the brokers we work with, but even internally as well. And the desire for flexibility and efficiency, 25%, 15 to 25% is the possibility for HR teams to save on time and money effort in terms of doing vendor consolidation, leveraging through your buying power to try and drive more savings, more favorable contracts, and obviously, most important in our world, automation. So when you have the ability to consolidate and automate, it takes a lot of the burden off an HR team in order to deliver a wider, broader, more comprehensive program. In terms of existing benefit offerings, there is a significant uptick in the interest to lifestyle programs. I will say in fourth quarter of last year, when we were at the height of our proposal season for 1/1 effective dates, a lot of employer groups reached out to us to investigate lifestyle accounts. They had a high level of interest. When it came down to it, though, many of them did not pull the trigger. And I think that there was a kind of compounding challenge between the time they had to put in to launching something new versus just lifting their regular benefit package, the nervousness of not understanding the programs very well, or having them be too broad, and potentially the cost to the employer. At the end of the day, some of them, I don't think, had it in the budget to be able to launch it. But these early explorations that they made, the early discussions, I think will lead us next year to a more favorable result in that employers will start their conversations much earlier, not trying to jam it in when the whole benefit conversation arises. The beauty of these types of accounts is that they're not tied to ERISA. They're not tied to a plan effective date necessarily. You can launch them anytime. And because they're offered to an entire class of employee within your organization or all employees, which is typical, you can have these enroll at any point automatically. They don't have to necessarily go out and select something on a benefit administration portal. So I think the conversations were very important in fourth quarter, but I think they will lead to a much higher adoption rate in the coming year. Employers are investing heavily in benefits. Obviously, you're focused mostly on health benefits, and we're trying to get employers to broaden their scope and not just think of this as healthcare, that's their only responsibility for a well-rounded employee package. There's $4 trillion being spent on benefits. 30% is the percentage of total compensation that it represents. And this is a shocking number to me, 16,500 average employer spend per family on just health insurance. That's staggering for an employer to have to manage. So how are you facing the challenge that you are under to attract and retain talent? And how are you managing the economic pressure? And are there new opportunities and value propositions that you can bring to the table as an HR team to your corporate leadership? We see 20% premium increase year over year. It's been 43% in the past 10 years on average, 17% overall rate inflation over the past 5 years, and 23% increase in workers' earnings. This is a talent war out there. And it's very interesting to see who's winning that and what their packages are looking like to be that attractive to keep those folks and hire away the best and the brightest. So they're being widely offered today, but I would say that the trends are far more common. You see these accounts in groups over 1,000 lives. How do you bring these down market? Clarity focuses a lot of our attention on groups under 1,000. Our service model is designed that way so that groups of 20 and 50 and 100 are not left out in the cold. These lifestyle accounts can be offered to every group size. It really depends on your budget and your appetite for it. But the trends I'm going to speak of here largely are being driven by statistics that are with the large employer groups that tend to adopt these and have adopted these much earlier on in the scheme of things. 78% of employers offer some form of a lifestyle benefit. It's not the kind of new hot model that we're delivering today, but in some way, shape, or form, they've got some kind of lifestyle benefit kind of built in somewhere to their benefits package. So from an HSA, FSA, and HRA perspective, on the left, you'll see 57% are offering HSA, but those are driven by high deductible health plans. So it's not a broad scope for everybody to enjoy. FSA, again, 63% of all employers are offering a flexible spending account for medical. And on the HRA side, 16% will offer an HRA coupled with a high deductible health plan to help shift cost and self-fund that upfront deductible. But here's some interesting statistics from SHRM. The all employer category is probably more in line with the group I'm speaking to today rather than the 5,000 plus. But health and wellness, about 41% of all employers are offering some form of health and wellness benefit. The grocery one, to be determined. It's still a bit early in the scheme of things. This is mostly pandemic driven grocery stipends. Fitness subsidies or reimbursements, 22% for all employers. Tuition assistance, 48%. That's largely driven by white-collar employer groups that are trying to drive employees to take educational programs that will help improve their ability to do their job. Student loan repayment, it's kind of low at 7%, and I wonder what that number will look like with all of the loan forgiveness that's going on politically. So mainly more the tuition assistance is where we see most of the dollars being spent, along with professional skills development. So programs that are not necessarily college-based, but have other value to their ability to do their job more efficiently. Work from home, again, post-pandemic, we're seeing an increased number of dollars being spent there. Cell phone, again, to be determined, although most employers will provide cell phone allowance or cell phone benefits, particularly if they have a sales force, for example. Dependent care, and this is not the adoption rate of dependent care, but actually some of the contributions that are being made towards childcare. Pet insurance, another one. We just got that added to our benefit plan this year. And so that's, again, a more recent trend. And the gift cards, which we see 31%, which I'm kind of surprised at that high number because that money, when you put it on a gift card, is gone. It is truly a gift, and there's no control over how that money gets spent, whether it's being utilized to help advance your agenda as an employer. And I think this is where lifestyle accounts will kind of take that gift card model and really design a plan around it so that it is a little bit more controlled by the employer and your desired goals. Insights and trends to consider when you are sitting down to put a program together. I really encourage you to work with your broker and consultant to do that. Because there's some areas of opportunity and there's some areas of potential loss if it's not designed well, and if it's very confusing, very complex, not clean and easy to understand, that can create a lack of adoption, a lack of utilization, in which case all the effort you've put into it falls short and you don't get the desired result. So 50% of spend lies in four main categories. We see health and wellness, obviously at the top of the pyramid, food, family benefits, and personal travel. So those are the overall dollars spent. Categories with the highest funding, where employers are leaning in: family, travel, professional development. And travel would be health-related travel, obviously. We see a lot more employers asking for solutions around the recent or fairly recent Roe v. Wade decision that impacts certain states where abortion is no longer permitted. And so employers are trying to find creative ways to allow employees to travel to states that allow them to take up that benefit. And so travel expenses can be covered in that case. And a lot of companies that I've worked with that have decided to do that are DC based, for example, and really want to be inclusive and be sensitive to diversity and feel that that is a good hallmark to show their support in that effort. So category consideration: food is a high utilization item for obvious reasons. Everybody eats. It's a growing segment. It's very appealing because it's not really dialing into just those that are fitness oriented. And it has a lower spend, but it is a high utilization item. Health and wellness, we see decreasing utilization, but it is still a top category. Trending in program adoption, we see employers, again, I mentioned it earlier, most large employers are leaning towards putting these programs in, but I do see that trend coming down market. And the employee adoption rate ranges widely on how you design the program. Is this really just a carrot or a stick that you're trying to put in? And the idea behind it is some employers want to make it look like they're giving, but they really don't want it to be drained completely, 100%. They can't afford that. So they put some levers in where it has wide appeal in some categories, but more narrow appeal in others to kind of help with their budgeting while they still look very paternal. So it really is going to boil down to whether you want to have the money spent or you really want to just make it look good. And then the value alignment, very important here. A third of a lifestyle account spend in the book that we have is really rooted in health and wellness. So the benefits of a lifestyle spending account, the key value points: unused funds remain with you. It's very like an HRA. Anything that's not spent comes back to you. And that's the big advantage to having a well-designed, administrated program rather than just giving out a gift card, because that's gone. Whether they go spend it at a bodega to buy a 6-pack of beer versus going in and getting the healthy food delivery, it really does give you more control over where you'd like them to focus their spent expenses. You have the ability to target the spending. You can restrict funding by certain what's called merchant category codes, and this can be devised to align with your business objectives. So just to give you an example, a lifestyle debit card versus a HRA, HSA, dependent care debit card that companies like Clarity offer. The difference between them is an open bin versus a medical bin. And so it's a bit of a challenge for many of us out in the market to have our traditional medical bin card work for lifestyle accounts, because our medical bin card that you swipe at the pharmacy to buy your prescriptions cannot be swiped at the gas station to purchase gas. The cards aren't built to accommodate those merchant category codes that are sent back by the terminal where you swipe the card. So there's challenges there. And I know that there are many organizations out there trying to work through those challenges to expand that medical bin card to be able to work with all these additional categories. And we'll talk about that again a little bit more in detail in a minute. But this single stacked card is the holy grail for these lifestyle accounts. And I think that from our perspective and others like us, it is a challenge that we're continuing to try and meet in terms of programming and how we are able to offer one card. The employers gain insight into how the employees are using the money. I think that's very appealing. The fact that if you give a gift card to an employee, you don't know what they've spent it on. But by having these preordained accounts where there's reporting capability, you have full insight as to where the money is being spent. What are they finding most valuable, and what maybe next year you can tweak to really drive into the best possible program at the end of the day. Excuse me. And the simplicity, again, I mentioned trying to make these programs simple and easy to understand, where employers can save money and reduce time managing these types of multiple types of programs. You don't want an adoption a benefit that you're managing manually, a gift card program that you're managing manually, maybe a gym membership reimbursement that you're managing manually. You have the ability to consolidate all of those vendors or all of those solutions into one, and this does help make it simple and save you time. So the lifestyle benefits are being delivered in many ways today, and this can create some challenges in terms of coming down to what it is you really want. So a reimbursement-based lifestyle account with a card, as I mentioned, is the holy grail. It may not be possible to have one card based on all the categories you're interested in offering. So communication is going to be at the heart of this to make sure employees are not frustrated trying to swipe their medical bin debit card for things that they thought they could use it for. One of the ways Clarity has solved this is that, for the time being anyway, most of the lifestyle accounts that I've put in place don't have a debit card. It has an advantage to the fact that employees pay out of pocket and then submit claims for reimbursement. We have a lot more control to validate the claim to make sure that they haven't gone and spent it on another member of their family or another a friend or what have you, so that the dollars are being really geared to the employee and their immediate dependents. You have the ability to validate the claim more efficiently and make sure that the tuition reimbursement, for example, is really for the course that you are permitting. And it does give you better control and insight into what they're spending their money on. Aggregating multiple existing lifestyle offerings into one program does help, and creating a new one where one doesn't exist today. Obviously, if you don't have anything in place, there's the ability to kind of start on the right foot and not have to kind of go in many directions and then come back to one holistic program. So let's get into some of the sample programs that are out there that we see. Professional development, obviously a big one. Employees who are looking to grow the employees for professional development and advancement. You want to obviously give them access, college education. You have the ability to have a host of educational categories, if you will, vocational schools included, trade schools, as well as business secretarial, etc. So professional development is a big one. Work from home, this was largely driven by COVID, has a lot of impact on employees who are trying to set up a home office. I'm sure most of your folks who have done that already, but maybe they need additional resources, printer cartridges, replacement equipment replacement, etc. Their ongoing internet access expenses, and even some employers are putting money in for utilities because they are working from home more, and obviously heating and cooling their homes has gone up. And perhaps standing desks or telecom equipment, all of that kind of falls into that work from home category, and there's a way for you to provide access to those resources through this type of program, this type of lifestyle account. Leisure and hobbies, again, with the employees that are demanding higher pay, this may be a good way to provide the semblance of a total benefit package increase without having to necessarily tick up on their paycheck. But sporting goods stores, musical stores, amusement parks, there are a whole host of areas that we can explore that would help to promote work-life balance. And I think that's a recurring theme that we're hearing, particularly the millennial and the next generation down, that they are looking for a much better work-life balance and more discretionary income. Healthy living, we mentioned being at the top of the food chain, really, but fitness, so gym memberships, golf course memberships, recreational services, even sporting goods. I have a client that put in an allowance for sneakers, for workout gear, so they can, I guess, go to Lululemon and buy their workout gear. But it's a nice benefit, and it does help to drive higher satisfaction. And anytime you get folks exercising, it's a good thing. Family care, including pets. I know I have my pets and they're my family. But even emergency and elder child care, or elder care, I should say. We see a lot more folks that are living, that they have their elderly family members living at home. And so having that support so that they can work more efficiently from home has been really appreciated by the workforce. And then food. Again, the rising cost. I'm shocked go to the grocery store and you spend $100 and you come out with one bag of groceries. It's mind-boggling. And for folks that are on a living wage, I'm kind of perplexed in how they're managing. But you, as an employer, could help to defer some of the cost for supermarkets and Costco, maybe even just Costco membership or Sam's Club membership. So these are, again, very valued benefits that employees truly appreciate. There's also food shortage. I came across a really interesting vendor recently that does food delivery in remote areas of the country where it's very hard to get fresh groceries. You might be hiring some of your employees that work remotely in far-flung places because you can pay them less, like North Dakota, for example. Clarity is opening a call center up there. And food shortages and and hunger are an issue in some of these remote areas. So this company actually delivers groceries, including fresh fruit and vegetables, to some of these far flung places. So some really creative things out there to help address some of those challenges. Bottom line is it's all about discovery. This is where your broker comes in, asking what your goals are, what's your budget, and this is something you need to bring to your leadership to really get into that conversation around, how much money are they really willing to set aside? I had one employer, the HR department was all excited about putting this program in, and we had devised a really great set of benefits. And a month later, she comes back to me and says, well, I presented it to leadership, but they only want to give us $150 a year. I said, well, that's nice. It's a nice place to start, but it's not going to light anybody's world on fire. So we agreed we would start it there. And she said, if I can have proof of concept, maybe in 3 months or 6 months, I can go back to the well and ask for more money and show them some reports, some, examples of what the utilization has been like. And I think that's a really smart way to do it. If you're not sure how this is going to affect your budget and how you're going to sell this to leadership, take a small bite out of it. Start small and build. The beauty of these things is you can increase the budget, um, you know, anytime you wish. You can set it where you have an agreement with leadership that let's start, and maybe after the first quarter or the first half of the year, we have another assessment and we see where this is going. But I think it's that discovery and that idea that this is a moving target. Each employer group is going to be a little different in terms of your diversity, your culture, your internal needs, the population, age, et cetera, and what's important to them. And maybe doing a survey of your employees to give them a list of categories and say, give us top down, what's the most important to least important. And that might be a worthwhile endeavor as you begin to explore these for your organization. Maybe you have a very young workforce where childcare is much more important than the lifestyle. Healthy living. So it really does require a lot of thought. And lifestyle accounts are uniquely positioned to manage a whole host of things. So you really do have a challenge in front of you as well to not make them too complex and too messy, where it's hard for employees. You can spend on this, but not on that, but yet they're still in the same category. So we try and make it as clean and easy to understand as possible. And as I mentioned, assess the success. Look at how things are being utilized, measure the results, and then adjust so that you can really promote a great program and have a great outcome. It is a journey. So it's the tip of the iceberg, essentially. And we're here as a vendor to help guide you on what has worked for other groups, to explore your particular diverse population and your goals and your budget. So I think it's important that you work with an experienced partner, with a broker that understands these accounts, that are committed to them, that will dive in with you and help create good communication and get the employees excited about it, because it is an expense that you are adding to the budget. Here's some examples of how we've done it. So this is our Simply Well program. And this is how I explain it to an employer who's never had one before. It's a post-tax spending account. Obviously, you ideally would like to have a debit card. Sometimes it cannot be carded, which is fine. Manual claims work just fine. Manual claims will also reduce the utilization because some folks don't bother to submit for every little thing. Debit cards are easy to go swiping around town. They're going to have a much higher utilization rate when it's a debit card. So there may be some levers you can pull that you can offer it, but not have it bust the budget. You define the amount, you define the eligible purchases and the categories based on a pre-built list. So we will configure our system based on that pre-built list of MCCs, the merchant category codes. And I can show you what that looks like in a minute. And then we set the communication out with you to the employees, and then we measure and refine as needed. And then you also can, inside the program, define the dollars that you want spent on each thing if you wish. You can either give a full open budget, let's say $1,000 a year, I'm making up a number, or you can say, I would like 250 in this category, 250 in this category, and so forth. So you have the ability to set it even within each of the categories themselves, not only the annual budget. You can also break it up. I recommend to employers that they don't give the lump sum up front because an employee could go out and spend $1,000 and then leave. I would suggest that they either do it monthly, you can do it per payroll, you can do it quarterly. It's really up to you, but some employers will give it all up front. It really does depend on what your turnover rate is and what you think will be most appealing. You get your card, you get your categories listed, and we have a website that employees can come out to file claims. Any other vendor you might work with would have the same, and a mobile app, so they could literally snap a picture of the receipt and upload it for reimbursement if they don't have a debit card to use. I mentioned the various cards. So the IIAS, that is the type of code that comes back that allows the card to work. Open Spend debit card is where we are going. We're not there yet as an organization to give you a full-blown Open Spend debit card. But our debit card, our medical bin debit card does work for some categories, particularly in the food area. But we also have the ability to do it non-carded, which means the substantiation needs to come in. So receipts, etc., are delivered. It has to have the employee's name on it somewhere that they use their card and it wasn't, their next door neighbor's purchase of sneakers. You get my point. And we have the ability then to keep them honest, keep you up to date that the dollars are being spent appropriately. Food, professional development, healthy living, work from home, leisure hobbies, and family care tend to be the more common codes that we see, or categories, I should say, on the accounts that we have developed. And just to give you an idea, this is completely sample pricing. This is kind of a starting point. If you're doing a lifestyle account on a standalone basis and not combined with other taxable accounts or pre-tax accounts like an HRA, HSA, flexible spending, etc. If you want substantiation, it's a little bit more per employee per month fee. Without substantiation, it's lower because we as an organization don't have to do all the paperwork. Bundled with other products drives the price point down a good bit. And most competitors like us are charging some form of monthly minimum so that if you had an employer group of, let's say, 15 or 20 people, it would still be worthwhile to set it up with a monthly minimum. But because these are typically accounts that are offered to everyone, that monthly minimum is often hit easily enough. And as groups get larger, obviously, we, as well as other competitors, have the ability to discount those fees as needed. Now, I'm going to take a moment and pause here and answer any questions you have before I bring up a couple of other resources that I have. So any questions in the chat?
Seeing any as of now, so you can.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Just a bit better.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm not sure what what that issue is, but there are not any questions as of
Okay.
now.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes, but it's on a
Okay,
Word doc now, and
great,
it's
perfect.
okay.
So this is a group I sold for 1-1, and they have about 500 employees, and they set aside $500 a year. You can see it here, pre-funded. Receipt must be very specific with the employee's name on it. So you can really set it with whatever rules that you would like Clarity to follow in terms of the documentation they need to provide, or not. Keep it more open and less restrictive. It really does boil down to having that discovery conversation. But here's an example of a live one, if you will. So, gym memberships and fees associated with activities. So, if they want to take a Pilates class, fitness trackers, equipment. So, shoes for any specific sport, tennis racket, yoga mats, helmets for bike riding, etc. Personal training, exercise classes, nutrition. So, Weight Watchers included, massage from registered therapists, which is kind of cool, acupuncture, smoking cessation. And some of these programs are already built into your medical plan. So some of these may not need to be added. But if an employer wanted to provide money, they can certainly do that. And then they can put in things like this: not to cover exercise or tire except for shoes as described, not a health spa treatment or products other than massage. So you can say, this is what I am covering, but not this. So again, not making these too punitive and too confusing, because then employees get frustrated and they kind of lose interest quickly. And again, more defined wellness workshops or seminars, DVDs, online subscriptions to, if you have a one of those Pelotons and you pay a subscription fee. Home exercise equipment's kind of cool. Health and wellness apps, mindfulness, meditation classes, again, going back into more of the well-being aspect of things. Wellness retreats, that's very cool also. If you had a fitness assessment, an evaluation done by a professional. Uh, the bicycle and commuting fees, I know that some of those benefits used to exist. I think they took that away recently, some of those mandated bike commuting benefits. So some employers are trying to give it back. And then standing desks, which are nice ergonomical equipment. You'll see no debit cards, manual claims only. And the receipt must include the name of the provider of service, the address, the data service, the amount. And it has to have the name of the employee who received the benefit on it, so that you're not buying, gym shoes for your Aunt Rosie. So it's nice to have the ability to really dial in, but also not make it too punitive. And we would help very happily with any discovery review with you. We would set you up for success with your leadership presentation, so you could have slides to look at trending, to look at other employer groups that are doing these, to see how you would fit in to the kind of the average experience, the average type of program. So there's lots of opportunity here. And then we have a lot of resources and guides that we give. This is a Q&A for an employer on what is a count. We provide those resources that you can share internally with your employees when it's time to actually deliver a program, as well as to leadership when it's your goal to sell it to the employer group. So lots of resources and guides available as well. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and let you ask me any questions, and we can wrap up.
Okay, I still don't see anything in the chat pod, so I'll give anybody another second or two. But again, if there's anything that isn't answered today that may come up later to our attendees, feel free to reach out and I can connect you with Liz and you guys can get all sorted. Again, there's no one typing either, so I would just say thank you to Liz and Clarity for such a great webinar today. I learned a lot myself. Again, if there's no questions answered today, just reach out, please, and I will connect you with Liz. And after this webinar, you will receive a recording of it and also an invitation to our webinar next month with a couple of reps from 6 Degrees who will be getting into a great discussion about reference-based pricing, which is also an up-and-coming trend in managing healthcare costs. We encourage active participation in that and promote an ongoing learning environment for clients and prospects in and around employee benefits trends. So I hope to see you all there. And with that being said, I'll just wish everyone a great day. Thank you again, Liz, and see you guys next time.
Thanks,
So much.
everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye now.